Welcome to Morrison Madness. I'm Don. This is Lachelle.
Yep.
These are our friends, Jeff and Susan. If you have watched the last couple of episodes, it'll be pretty obvious to you, especially if you've watched them on YouTube, that this is kind of a continuation. It's pretty obvious we're all in the same shirts. We may or may not have been imbibing in adult beverages. Some of us, not all of us. Some of us.
Don't point me out or anything. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Somebody's got to be the responsible one.
I don't have to drink to have a good time. That's how
I don't
that
either.
works. No, I know you don't, but it helps, doesn't
I
it?
drink and I know things.
So much
It's
smarter.
not to have a good time.
It's to know
It's
things.
for memory retention. It helps my memories.
It helps you remember.
Your
Yes. Damn right it does.
That's going to be awesome.
They're much more clearer after a couple of drinks.
Your English is so much better, too.
It is.
I kind of was going to bring that up, but thanks for taking that.
That's all right.
Not everybody can speak in cursive. It's a talent that has been acquired over many years.
You have honed that talent.
I want to tell you, Pilgrim. So, anybody who has followed us for an extended period of time knows that most of these episodes are about
How Don has survived.
horrible things that have happened to Don. Sometimes from Don's perspective, sometimes from Lachelle's. We've had my mom on here as a guest. Got my mom's perspective on stuff. We brought Jeff in because Jeff and I had an experience together in high school. For this episode, I thought that instead of having Don be the focus of whatever memories or things that have happened in the past, we would turn this episode over to Jeff.
Right.
And
let him
Jeff
tell his side of the story of watching Don try and not
it
survive.
doesn't
growing
even
up.
have to be about Don. It can
Oh.
just let Jeff tell his story from...
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't even need to be a part of it. It can be anything from high school, whether Don was involved or not. Or since high school. I don't really care.
Or since, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
He can talk about how I dropped a 2x12 on my toe and screamed like a little girl. You can't embarrass me at this point. I mean, I
That
don't really
looked
care.
like it really hurt. It really did. I about started screaming.
It was
Oh my
ugly.
gosh. Yeah, so I was thinking we're going over the stuff with the gold-toothed deer and the wake of accidents as a result of that. I do know the DNR still hasn't taken any specific action as far as reining in the reign of terror of the gold-toothed deer. But
I'm going to guess that's due to budget cuts, but
It could
we
be.
would have to look into that.
Right.
government. So I was thinking about some of the other events that were associated with that. There was several automotive incidents
Quote unquote.
that involved this same gold-toothed deer. I would say, I guess for myself, I remember a couple of them. Another one in high school, and then one that was, I think, just after high school with our good friend Jim Hilliard. We'll call him Jim.
Quote unquote.
Yes.
Jim. Yes.
Say his name is Jim. We were seniors in high school that year, and there was senior ad day where we had to go out to these businesses and get advertising spots to help pay for our yearbook. And so, for some reason, some very wise teacher paired me up with Jim, and I'm thinking there was somebody else there, but I know by the end of the night before we were going out to get these ads that
We generally were in groups of three.
Three.
Because I know that my group was me, Derek, and Van.
yeah, see, that would have been cool, except
Derek and Van.
yeah. Well, no, I liked them both. I liked them both. But so I know that we had three in our group, but I don't remember who the third person was. So we ended up in the same region, south of Lone Tree. Ended up in the same region. Turned off, just minding our own business. It was late, and Jim's truck started fishtailing. I don't know what happened there. Might have had a flat. I'm not sure. But anyway,
Probably too much Mountain Dew.
it's hard to say. It could have been anything, but at any rate, the truck ends up on its roof in the ditch, and then so we had to crawl out through the back window.
Sure.
because the window had smashed out and the cab had smashed down.
Right.
So we just crawled out through the back window and under the truck. And Jim was
So going back to the previous episode when you had your driving experience with Don and neither one of you were wearing a seatbelt, I'm just wondering if you learned anything from that and
and applied it to this new
Yes.
situation. Well, I did. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. So actually, probably you shouldn't try this at home, but to put it in context, I sort of developed over those years, tumultuous years, a sixth sense as to when things were about to really get shitty. And I do remember, as soon as we turned the corner onto the gravel, I decided to crawl up on the floor under the dash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You really knew.
Apparently I did. I got this weird smell in my head, and I'm like, something's wrong. So maybe I was under the influence of some penicillin or something. I wasn't sure.
Right.
But at any rate, the truck flips over, the cab smashes down, and we crawled out through the little hole in the back where the window was. So we both get out. We're standing beside the truck, and it's dark, right? Gold-toothed deer tend to only run at night. They're
They do.
nocturnal animals.
Right.
And at any rate, so I stand up, feel so good, and Jim's out there, and we're like, okay, everything's okay. And I just leaned up against the tire. Well, the tire's still doing about 120 miles an hour, but you can't hear it, and you can't see it.
right.
Oh, no.
Just-
And I hit it. I just leaned up against it, and it slammed me down, and I hit the ground. I got hurt worse after the accident than I ever did in the accident. I mean, I hit my head on the fender, and I was all tore up. Fortunately, I had my dark sunglasses on. So,
At night, right.
Yeah, well, because my future was so bright.
Right.
And then, so we take to walking, and cussing that gold-toothed deer, and we take to walking back up to the road, and we're getting close to the guy's house, and I've got my sunglasses on because they just saved me. I can't really get rid of them. They
Right.
just saved my life potentially. And we're coming up there. We get to the house up at the end of the road, and Jim goes, "You need to just shut up. I'll do the talking. Take your glasses off." Challenge accepted.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say of all of the people that I would want to speak for me on my behalf under any circumstances, Jim Hillier
Is not,
is
one
not
of
on
them?
that list.
Probably didn't make
Quote
the cut.
unquote Jim.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
Jim. I would.
We'll
yeah.
call
Quote
him
unquote Jim.
Jim.
Right. You wouldn't want him speaking on your behalf, huh?
Well,
Jim is a hell of a nice guy.
very nice guy. He is. He is. But yeah, so we're coming up to the house, and Jim just says, "You need to shut up. Don't talk. I'll do the talking. You just shut up. Stay here. Just wait out here by the end of the drive, like out by the highway." And he goes, "And take those damn sunglasses off." Well, now I'm not going to do it
Right.
because I feel like at whatever I was, 17 or 18, 17, I suppose, that I somehow look very cool at 11:30 or 12 at night with sunglasses on.
Right.
And anyway, the guy
They
ended
made
up
it out of the
the guy ended up giving us a ride back to town. So Jim got home and I got home, and we were uninjured.
For the most part.
Except for the tire
Well,
injury.
I would say largely uninjured, certainly unreportable at this point.
No need for the hospital at that point.
So then the next morning we have to go in. We had to check in before we take off for these ad days, the senior ad day. I can see why schools don't do that anymore. But they used to have an open gym in the morning where kids could come in the gym, and they could just
Yep.
be in there, and they're playing volleyball and basketball and doing all these kind of fun things.
Right.
So, as luck would have it, Jim and I show up at the same time, and we're walking in into the gym. And as I've said before, good news travels fast, but bad news travels really fast. And so this is it's not even 10 hours after the event actually happened. 10 hours later, everybody in that gym knew what happened. the teacher that was running it, he said, "How you doing, guys?" And we're like, "Good." He goes, "Don't worry about it. It'll be fine." Good. And everybody knew about it.
Right.
And how did they? I mean, we didn't have social media. There were no cell phones, no
Right.
nothing. And then I think we met with the principal that morning for a little bit, and then whoever our third was, we went, thinking it was a girl, but I can't remember who it was. But then they turned us loose to go.
Whose vehicle did you take?
Mine. It was the only one they'd be safe in at that point. Jim's was a little incapacitated at the time.
Yeah. Well, it was probably still in the ditch, wasn't it?
No, because that's when he had started a relationship with working for Dave Myers. So Dave went out and got it towed. And the
Gotcha.
cops are already involved. And they said, well, I'm
No,
sure
let
there's
go.
not $500 worth of damage in here. I'm sure it's going to be fine. So then you don't have to file a report.
You just have to drive with your
Yeah.
That was-
slouched down
that
out
was-
to one
no
side.
light poles were.
That was
No.
one of the
Or
things they
anything like
threatened me with. The fact that I left the scene of an accident and that I didn't report an accident that had more than $500 worth of damage. I'm like, they didn't cover that in driver's ed.
Right.
Yeah. What am I
Nobody
supposed
told
to
me
do?
that.
And how are you supposed
How
to
are you
not
supposed to
leave the scene
know?
of the accident when you're out in the middle of the country?
Well, and I honestly, I thought only my vehicle was damaged, so I didn't know there was damage to anybody else's property because
Right.
it was dark.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Plead the fifth.
So that reminded me of a funny story. The whole going and getting ads, right?
Oh, yes.
Me, Derek, and Van. So
A diabolical trio.
yes. So we are in my Ford Festiva, and we have been all over Iowa City selling ads for the yearbook. And we come up on Highway 6 Riverside Drive, and we get to the stoplight there at Village Inn. And we're on the inside lane to turn left. And next to us, there's a Jeep with at least three, maybe four really hot college girls in it, right? And I just glanced over at them as you do, just as, well, I mean, as a driver, you glance over at the people next to you to see what kind of vehicle it is, all that
Slowly
kind of
lick
stuff.
your eyebrows while you're doing it.
Yes. And out of the corner of my eye, I see the girl in the back seat reach up and tap the girl in the front seat shoulder and point at us. And then the next thing I know, all of them are staring down at our car and just laughing hysterically.
You think, I got it going on.
No,
Nope.
that was not my
That
thought.
wasn't the laugh.
And I like elbow Van, and I'm like, Van, what the hell? And he looks over, and they're like all laughing and pointing, and we're like, I'm thinking there's smoke coming out of the car, something, right? And then both Van and I, over our right shoulder, turn and look in the back seat, and Derek has taken duct tape and taped up his legs and his hands together and put duct tape over his mouth and is in the back seat going
That's
like
awesome.
this.
Try that today. Wow.
And
Oh
Van
my
and I
gosh.
had no idea. And the light turned green and those girls left. And Van and I were like, oh my God. I couldn't even get the car back in gear.
And that'd be something Derek would have pulled off. I mean, he's just always so quiet.
He was.
So quiet.
We had no freaking clue.
How do you not hear that the duct tape was getting like pulled?
Because we had the radio
The radio
on.
was going.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course,
I could
right.
figure that one out right away. The radio has to be going for the car to move.
Okay,
Right.
Radio has to play.
Yes. You have a question?
I have
Yes,
a
Miss
question.
Evans?
I want to know where the duct tape came from. In his pocket.
And why, pray
and-
tell, was it in the
and
back seat of his car?
In the back seat. Couldn't have been in the glove compartment.
Right.
Did you typically travel with rolls of duct tape?
Knowing Don, he did, because there's
Yes.
always something that's going to fall off
like
the car
a
or
bumper
something.
or a muffler or
Right.
something like that. And you
You
did
can
that
fix
and-
anything with duct tape.
Okay, I was just curious.
That's
but
a great
an odd
question.
thing
That's a great
to
question.
find, when you're driving, you're bored, and you got somebody driving, you're like, hey, here's duct tape.
You know how in the
My dad taught me, if you ever have a problem with a hose on a vehicle, you can duct tape it up to get you
to get
far
you
enough.
where you need to be.
right.
Yep, until you can get it
Okay,
repaired.
I just,
It's part
I've
of that
not ever
whole-
traveled with duct tape in my vehicle.
I always had duct tape and a small toolkit.
and some kitty litter.
In the
In case
winter.
you get stuck,
Kitty litter
yeah.
in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kitty
Yeah.
litter.
Okay. All right.
It's a great question.
It is a good question.
Thank you. What a great question.
Yeah,
Here to help.
yeah. I appreciate it.
You're doing
Yeah.
great.
Oh, I could totally see Derek doing that though. Oh my goodness.
It was very weird. That's all I can tell you.
And the best part is that the girls weren't actually concerned about the fact that you were
No.
kidnapping this third
Nope.
person.
No.
They could tell that it was a joke.
Yeah.
No, or back then
They
well, was
probably
it a
thought
joke?
you.
I don't think they thought that he taped himself up.
Right,
They
exactly.
thought,
Yeah.
it's probably some fraternity guys doing a hazing
Oh,
on.
probably.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that. I should. I don't know why I wouldn't think about that. But yeah. Oh, goodness. Because you guys are talking about high school stories, and I didn't grow up in a college town or near a college town with high school. So when I'm thinking high school, it's very different than college. Yeah, that's true. They probably did figure that it was a fraternity
Well,
thing.
so
Yeah, that would make sense.
here's the thing that we haven't brought up yet. But,
Oh, no.
But I'm sure that Jeff can verify this.
A test.
So, our driver's ed teacher knew where all of the sororities were, right, and where all of the best places were for where girls would lay out. And he would say, "All right, drive to Iowa City," and he would take a nap while we drove to Iowa City, and he would say, "Wake us up when we get to Iowa City," and then he would have us go to all of those places so
Just-
that he could check out all of the college girls.
Oh, no, see, I'm sure it was just to make sure that you were distracted
Yeah.
while driving. So
Well,
you
yeah,
wanted to
and-
test
and-
whether or not you
I do not
would drive
think
while
that is the
distracted.
case.
No.
What a better place than to, when there's a lot of traffic, go ahead and just park right here in
Right.
this green space. Then, now for the next exercise,
Hand me my
we can-
camera in the
we
glove
can
box over
back
there.
out.
Before I ever moved to Iowa City, I knew where every sorority was. I didn't know where the fraternities were, but I knew where every sorority in town was.
That's handy.
Well, thank goodness for your
And
driver's
then,
ed
and then
instructor.
after the second person drove all around Iowa City and to all of the sororities and all of the, like College Green where people would lay out or play frisbee in their bikinis and stuff, then we would stop at Dairy Queen
Yep.
and get an ice cream cone, and then the third person would drive back. And you rotated who drove which
Right.
thing, so
Right.
everybody had experience
In all
with
fairness.
all of the stuff. But yeah.
Sure.
Distractions, yes.
Yeah. I had lots of Dairy Queen experiences when I was taking driver's ed, but only because my instructor was like this big, and he didn't care what we did as long as we stopped for a cheeseburger and an ice cream cone at Dairy Queen at some point.
Our
funny.
driver's ed
Yeah.
instructor was not a very big guy.
Yeah, he was a little guy.
So
We used to always stop at Kelowna Bakery.
Really?
Yeah, every morning because we had the morning shift. And I was in trouble the first week because you can only miss 3 days. In the first week, I had missed 2.
Oh, no.
But of the group, it was myself and Grant Evans and Jeremy Shanklin. The 3 of us were in a group. And I was only one of the 3 that actually worked, so I was the only one that had any money. So we had to stop at Kelowna Bakery and buy the instructor a donut and that kind of thing. So we did that like every day. As long as I collected on my papers, we were good. But yeah, they had to come over and wake me up. They would actually come in and just walk in upstairs and wake me up, and we'd get to driver's ed.
Sure.
It was so early for the summer. It was like 8:30. I mean,
It was early unless you
insane.
were, unless you had a real job like, walking beans or detasseling or something, and you were out in the fields at 6.
well, but you wouldn't have walked beans that early. You don't walk beans in June. They don't plant them till June.
What? Yes, they do. Are you kidding me?
No.
Beans are already planted.
Well, some are, yes.
Yes.
We had a wet year.
You're walking beans in June. You might not be detasseling.
Yes, we did.
And you're doing
you
you're
did.
roguing.
Yeah,
in
we did
June.
the roguing and the detasseling and stuff. Well, that's something that kids don't.
You
get
might
to do
even be
anymore.
on your.
No,
you
that's
might
true.
even be on your first weekend of coming up. You might be on your first weekend of baling hay.
Yeah, first cut sometime in there. Yes.
I think it's funny, though, that you guys are saying that, 7, 6 is early. Because when I was in high school, I was a lifeguard, and I was one of the few that opened the pool. And the pool was open at 5:30, so you had to be there before 5:30 and make sure everything was open and running fine before people could. No, there wasn't anybody in the pool that shouldn't be in the pool before you get there, and all that all year round.
My
5:30
philosophy for the
a.m.
5:30 time slot was just stay up the night before.
I think that would have been.
You
mine
don't
as
got to
well.
get up that way, and
Yeah.
that's I've done that a couple of times in high school.
Yeah, because I would go to to work at 5:30, and then you were done at 7:30, and show choir started at 7:30. So and the pool was right next to the high school. So I would literally, I told the instructor, I'm working, I'll be a few minutes late, and then I would go from work to show choir. I already had a full day before I started school. But I was usually up until midnight or something that way because we were in play practice or some sort of after school event anyway. So
I remember being stopped at the stoplight at the top of Burlington Street, where the music building is now,
okay, yeah,
heading east. And there was a bus, and we're in the outside lane. This was before they had turned everything into 3 lanes, and there's bicycle lanes all over downtown,
Right,
whatever.
right.
There's 2 lanes going every direction. And we're in the outside lane, and there's a bicyclist next to us. And the driver ed instructor rolled down the window and is trying to have a conversation with this girl because she's wearing Daisy Dukes and a bikini top, right?
Sure.
And she's just ignoring, won't even respond, right? And now being the age that I am, I'm thinking, yeah, I get it, lewd old man,
Right.
creepy,
Yeah.
Right.
kind of thing. I don't even remember how old he was at that time, but I'm still thinking that's what I envision in my mind now at this age.
Right.
And because she wouldn't respond to him, right, as the light turned green and she starts to take off and then we're going, right, it takes a little bit to go get through the intersection, get up to speed. And as we're she's pedaling a little ahead of us. And as we get up even with her, we're like right across from the mill. And he was so frustrated that she wouldn't have a conversation with him. He yells out the window at her, "I thought it was illegal to pedal ass in Iowa."
Oh my good Lord.
That sounds just like him. That sounds
And I
just like him.
always thought, in any other circumstance, that would have been a great line, but
Not that.
no,
No.
it just
Not
wasn't.
so
Not there,
much.
not right
Oh.
I was thinking, you were telling that, I was thinking about the second time I think that we had coffee at the
then. Job
House, yes.
Yep.
So we had coffee there the first time and we talked for a while. So the second time we did it was like maybe a year or so
Later,
later,
yep.
about a year later. And we're just talking about stupid things we do
Right.
on the
That you
weekends.
survived.
Right. Well, just, like we're talking about I mentioned I love to play golf, but I just as horrible now as the day I started 25 years ago. But I keep going, and I'm just a warrior, and I'm a weekend warrior, and I got to keep going.
Well, and I remember when we had that first meeting, you had told me that you had quit drinking and you hadn't drank for I don't remember how long.
15 years.
And I was stunned.
Right.
Look at me go.
Yeah. And I was like, well, good for you. That was a great thing. You know, it didn't. I only bring that up because it didn't affect. It surprised me,
Right.
but it didn't affect anything in our
right,
relationship.
Right.
So I was thinking about that second time that we were meeting there, and we're just chatting away, and I know we were just talking about stuff we do on the weekends. Just a completely random conversation, much like this one is. And so we're there talking, and then all of a sudden, this lady from over here in the corner gets up, and she comes over and she goes, you guys should do a podcast.
Did she really?
Did she really?
Yeah. She was telling us all, she goes, it's just so fun to listen to you guys, your stories, and you're just going off about talking all these random things. You should do a podcast. That'd be awesome.
I don't remember that.
That's funny.
It was really funny.
If
and I've been
only we
thinking
knew
about
who
that,
she
yeah.
was, we would let her know.
Well, and she said, but when she came over and she was talking about it, we're like, I don't even know what a podcast
I didn't
is.
either. I don't think.
Well, yeah, because that would have been,
Well,
what,
that'd have been around
9 years ago?
Well, it'd have been
2010.
It'd have been probably 10 or 11.
Yeah.
But anyway, she came up and said that, and then she starts talking about something that she does on the internet. It became this giant walk-up commercial is what it ended up being.
Sure.
But it was just funny that she said, you guys should do a podcast together. I said, yeah, he's got such a great voice. I could listen to it all day. He's got that voice. So that was kind of funny how that
It's
worked
funny
out.
that you say that because we were just at Baxter Fest, the Polka Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I missed that.
every
I
time
wanted you to take me.
I got to go next year. Next year, I'm definitely going to
I
go
gotta
to
wait
the
a whole year.
Baxter
every time
Fest.
that I
So
would
we know when there's other polka dances. We can have him
Good.
come to those.
You
Look
do
at that
that.
look. Look at that look.
every time that I would be introduced to somebody new and we would have an extended conversation with that person,
Yeah.
they would say, "Are you on the radio? You have a radio voice. You should be on the radio."
Yes.
I said,
Every
you know,
time to
a
Don.
lot of people tell me that, and yet there aren't any radio stations that will hire me. I'm not sure why.
I don't know why. I don't want to say it's because you talk too much. But
No,
seriously, you
that-
got such a
never.
great voice for it. And I remember when that lady said that, and that's what I was thinking too. You know, you got a great voice for radio and that kind of thing. And so that
Which
would be
is funny
awesome.
that you say that, because when we started our DJ company and we started doing Name That Tune and needing to talk more
Mm-hmm.
on the microphone, he doesn't use his radio voice when he talks into a microphone.
Really?
Like I had to train him to actually use it while talking into the microphone, because you have to project a little bit differently when you're actually, because those microphones are built so that you have to eat the
You have
mic
to,
and
talk to it.
right, actually talk into it. And it was like he was shy for the first time ever in his entire life.
Yeah,
But
I've never
now
seen
he's-
that stage.
No. now he's figured out that he can talk into the microphone a little bit better and just
When you brought up the whole thing about golf, because I remember you said because he's telling me about, I go golfing all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not that good at golf. And he goes, oh, you should come with me. It doesn't matter if you're any good. I'm like, Jeff, you don't understand. If you gave me a golf club and a ball and dropped me in the desert, I could find water.
yes,
That's how bad at golf I am.
yes. Yes.
Me too. And I've been playing for 25 years.
Derek kept on. I mean, I went with him a few times, and finally Derek gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, after 5 or 6 times, he was like, "Yeah, you're just."
I don't think, other than having to try and golf in gym class, I've never gone golfing.
Well,
If I can't slice it or hook it, it ain't any good.
I went down and used same experience at putt-putt golf. In fact.
Right. I can putt golf. I'm
And,
terrible at that too.
So I am too. So he has this set up in the shop and allowed me to take a few swings. And
Sure.
I missed the target and hit the building. Thankfully, it's metal. Another time, more recently, we were inside the building. I again missed the target and hit my trailer.
Oh no.
there's an enclosed trailer in
And my
there.
enclosed trailer, which was right there. Ping. Hail damage. That's
It
what
looks
that
like-
is.
And
Right.
it does. It's right next to the spot that I hit on the trailer.
Yeah, there's
awesome.
7 or 8 now. And so one day I got to go. I said, I want to go with you to golf.
She'd never been
Right?
on a golf course.
Never been on a golf course. Never been in a golf cart.
Sure.
The whole thing. I'll just save you the pain. Don't.
I don't need to go. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Mind numbing. And you can't really just cheer. There's no pom poms involved.
Right.
No woots.
Right.
You have to do the good job like they do on TV.
Little golf clap.
Forget
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Oh shoot.
I putt pretty well, but that drive, I just can't seem to
No.
get it to go where I want it to.
No. Well, maybe at some
I'm
point
lucky
we'll
to hit
have
the
to
ball.
try.
It goes a long frickin' way.
Well, I'm working on building a simulator
Okay.
in the shop down there, and so that's.
He invited me last
Yeah,
weekend, but
last
we were
week, but-
we were
We were
booked up.
busy. We were booked up.
It's kind of a fun time. You're just hitting balls, and it's not really a big deal. And
Sure.
I would love to come down. sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
We get some time freed up this summer.
Yeah.
We'll
We have a few weekends that we're not overly booked. Well,
it can be during the week,
Yeah.
that's true.
This guy's free.
That's true.
or at least
He's
cheap.
unemployed right
cheap.
now.
I'm not
No, that's not true.
I'm
You're
not
getting a
unemployed.
check.
I'm out of contract.
as long as
Right.
I
There you
can
go.
drive home
Right.
afterwards. That's the important part.
If you can hitchhike,
I work at night. I have gigs at night.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to be able to get there and function.
Yes.
So anyway, this is another episode of Morrison Madness. These are our friends Jeff and Susan. I'm Don. This is Lachelle. Check us out on all of the social medias.
why does he sound like
What-
he's never very sure about?
I
that?
know.
I'm not.
He has to think about that for
I
a moment,
really
doesn't
am.
he?
Yes.
Because
There's a
I
hesitation.
expect her to take over at any point and
Save
do
you?
a better job than what I'm
Save
doing.
you?
Yes, and here I am stumbling along trying to get through Facebook and Twitter and Snap,
You want-
Insta.
You can find
Chat,
Morrison
Graham.
Madness on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
See, you're
You can-
so much better at it because I don't even know what all of them are.
Very
You
good
can
at this.
you
You
can
can
find us on
mix
Mima and Mommy and
Mix and match the words.
I can't even keep up with all of the damn socials anymore that there are.
Yeah, there's a lot. And some people have said that we need to get on TikTok, and I don't understand TikTok. I even have a TikTok
We've made
account.
a couple of TikTok videos, and I don't whatever.
Yeah, no. I just don't get it. I have a hard enough time keeping up with the main three. And we have a website where you can find all of this. And we're on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube right now in the podcast, we're also on all your podcast players. If there is a podcast player out there that we're not on, just let us know. I'll see if
And
I
if
can't
you
get
have
us
a
on there.
shit ton of money and you would love to sponsor us because you think we're hilarious, we would love a sponsor.
Even if you don't
Or
have a ton
several.
of money, we still would like a sponsor.
Or
Several.
sponsor.
Or censor. Well, there is that to consider.
Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Please come back and join us for our next episode. Until then, take care.
Have a good time.